Let's try this again. I didn't even have my microphone started. We're on Discord today. No video, guys. So if anybody is listening to the video version, it's probably just going to be us talking through Discord. Welcome to episode 9 on today's podcast. We were so busy. I know you guys wanted a video yesterday, but we were swamped. Every time we were trying to make something happen, it's just something was in the way, but not like for the wrong reason. It was just priorities, you know. You got it. We got to this when we can. But how was your whole week, Javon?
Just as busy as yours.
Yeah. What did you get done?
It was just a lot of work, just regular in general, like going to work. And honestly, even just putting time for training felt, honestly, it just felt like it was an extra thing to do. It wasn't just like a regular schedule. It just, everything felt like it toppled on top of each other, and I was just trying to survive through it. So I'm just really happy that it's the end of the week and that there's going to be some type of happy Friday, that there's going to be some type of mental break. So that should hopefully reset for next week. That way everything just falls back into place as it should.
I don't know if people are from New England, the people that are listening. I know some people are from New England listening to the podcast, but we have the most bipolar snow that you can imagine this year. Like,
I agree.
We didn't have something like this until like maybe 7 or 8 years ago, back in October, where we had the worst snowstorm. I think I remember. We were out for like no power for weeks. You remember that too?
Yeah, I really hope that this next week is not that type of bad, because it's a little too cold to not have heat. I mean, October was cold too, but it's like, okay, it snowed in October and we lost power. But at least, you know, you're talking about 50, 40 degree weather, not 0. Yeah,
exactly.
So I'm really hoping that it's not that bad.
I don't think it'll be too terrible. I was, I was so dedicated getting to karate sometimes on like through the weather. I mean, back then, I don't know how it is. I don't know how it is like now. Well, I'm pretty aware of like how things are these days. Some schools don't close during snowy conditions. Other schools like a little bit more like, okay, let's close down. Let's just do it. I mean, some heavy rain now, there's a lot of people that shut down. I don't know how your school was, but my old school I don't know. Like, because for me, it was like, I would walk in during the snowstorm during a freaking hurricane. Like, that's just old school. It's like, hey, we're open. If you can make it and not crash, great.
Yeah. Well, my school, the way it is, it's the base rule used to be if public schools close, then we close.
Oh, okay.
Right? So a snow day means a snow day. But as of recent, I think a lot of us have just been a lot more dedicated, because sometimes we'll be open on holidays where the schools are closed, like obviously major holidays like Christmas, Thanksgiving, stuff like that will be closed. Like how some people used to have like President's Day off, or Labor Day and stuff like that. Sometimes those days were actually open because most of us are off, and by that time of the day we're like, well, we're kind of bored. So as the teachers at least. So the teachers are like, okay, well, I mean, I don't mind teaching a class for an hour or two. Like, it's really not going to kill me, and honestly, I want the exercise anyway. So as long as the teacher wants to teach, we're open, and majority of the time we're teaching. So
you ever get like a lot of people in like, what's the craziest weather you had and you were like, there's no way people are coming, and then suddenly there's like a lot of people?
I think it's going to be some years back for sure, so it's going to be hard to remember exactly. But there was definitely snowstorms where there's a few times where I'm like, we should be closed.
Okay.
And I would show up for class, and this is probably when I wasn't teaching the same classes, obviously, because I was really young. Maybe I was a teenager, and it really depends on what time the class fell and what time the storm started. But let's just say, for example, this one time, a Saturday, we teach Saturday mornings, so the class was Saturday morning around like 10:30, 11, but the snowstorm was coming in around 10. So by the time 11:30 hit, it was like 4 or 5 inches of snow already, and everyone's like, maybe we should just call it early. You know, a lot of us were thinking twice. But when we're open completely, I think as long as the power's on, we usually try to, we could do it. And I don't remember training with the power off. I've trained with the lights off.
I trained with the power off. Are you kidding me? The power went off during class.
Oh, I mean, definitely in that like scenario, yeah, we'll definitely keep it going. But I feel like if it's like a major issue where it's like, okay, the building is
about
the building's collapse. On fire. We're not going to have class. It's like, well, what do you mean? I could train in it. It's not that hot.
It's not that hot. You just started warming up during class.
And I say, oh, cool. Just get the warm up today. I'll be super limber.
I love that.
Yeah, so I mean, I like the fact that at least the way school I train at is going, it's slowly, it's a slow transition, but I feel like everything's getting more dedicated to the actual art form and being serious rather than businessy.
The other thing I was going to ask you, you know how like we were talking about tradition last podcast and a couple podcasts ago?
Mm-hmm.
With the one steps, so people are not familiar. Some people are there. For some people, they're called one steps. We would traditionally fall back in a low block and we would key up, and then the person that's defending would go into their ready stance, and then they would key up, initiate, basically going like, "Hey, hit me," and then they would just basically go it would just be focusing on precision, timing. Repetition, just technique, how you can control your power. It was actually a really good way of getting really down to the basics. Like, hey, this is the closest and safest way to practice self-defense, not I'm going to punch you, you're going to punch me. If you had a school of your own, would you take those traditional steps and keep them? Or would you have different things like sparring, more combative? Because I know some people have like the hand grabs and the arm show. Like, what would you put on the table, like, for your students?
Well, if I was to change anything, I wouldn't really take away unless it's if it's absolutely necessary because I want to add something else that I feel will benefit and I can't keep both, then, you know, so be it. But what I would do if you were to ask me about that right now and I had the power right now is I would teach our one steps in quotations the way that we do it, but the way that my school teaches it is kind of just like a form sequence. I would teach it 50-50. So I would teach it like that, but then as soon as it's learned, I would only practice it where we're actually attacking each other every single time.
Okay, so you just practice that target.
Meaning, yes, I would practice it as a reactive move.
That's good.
Rather than a pattern, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I see you're like focusing on like precision more than anything.
Yeah, and then obviously like you could you'll be very structured at first where, you know, you might be in a nice strong forward stance and you start in a perfect punch where your shoulders are square in a deep stance like that. Like obviously that's not the way it's going to happen in real life, but you start with that.
Fight me as you drop in your stance.
Exactly. So like, okay, maybe you start training with that so you get the reaction and comfortability.
Yep.
But then as time goes on, it's like, okay, well, we're very good at that. Let's make this more realistic.
Yeah.
Let's have the guy just go from standing to just punching you as if he's out in the street, right? Like a real self-defense move.
Yeah.
And let's see if that same reaction is still fast enough and the change of position and height affects your defense, because now you're going to have to alter it, right? So I would say like I would slowly transition it to as real as possible while still keeping a traditional base.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense. I like that. I think I would just, for me... Okay, go ahead. My bad.
No. You go ahead.
Oh, so I would have a mix, right? I don't want to take away, like I would like give them an understanding. Like maybe I would have it like maybe in a class. When it comes to like curriculum based, I want to see them do grappling and throws and maybe finishers. I want them to start by defending, and then the first thing I want to do is see one subdue, and this next thing I want to do, like the first one actually when he knocks someone out and like do damage, and then the next one is like, okay, now for this one I want you to defend in a way where you subdue the target. So I want to give them different things, like, and then the traditional stances I'd probably use that for like young belts or or for like white belts, maybe like old tradition, get them used to like the attacks and stuff, and then we kind of fade away from that, and then we focus more on modern stuff. It's like, okay, you understood where we come from, now let's get down to the real stuff. Like, let's get modern here. Like, this is what we know, this is what we do, this is what you're going to practice consistently, and this is the only way you're going to get better, because these modern martial artists only got this skill from the traditional way. So I would keep the traditional only at a low rank so they can understand it. And then we could always go back to our roots whenever we want in the next class. But the thing is, it's best to focus on advanced things the more advanced classes go on. I don't know if that made sense to you.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree.
And ultimately, I think I think sometimes people can think that the traditional stances that we're in are like really corny and really confusing, but it's just another way of practicing self-defense. I mean, again, you're practicing timing. I don't think if it wasn't for those practices, I would just be like a normal person throwing punches. Like, sure, I know exactly what I'm punching, but I can't tell you how much knowledge I know on how to punch correctly because of my Tang Soo Do history and tradition and the things I've looked at, like the Huan Ki books, the World Tang Soo Do books. Mm-hmm. Like, reading those books ultimately made me understand martial arts more to where I feel powerful, dude. Boxers just throw punches and go for like jabs. They go for technique, sure, but I feel like some of them, maybe not, maybe I could be wrong here, some of them don't understand the true value of how to really freaking throw a good punch. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're powerful, but with your Tang Soo Do training, dude, you're like 3 times as stronger.
That's because sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. I was talking for a minute. You're good.
So, because I can't talk much about like boxing because I've never really officially done boxing, but I could say one thing for sure about at least Tang Soo Do and probably most styles that are similar, which I'm sure Tang Soo Do took from anyways. The fact that we do have our stances compared to just a straight up boxing stance, because it's a little bit shorter rather than our deep ones. Is I know that we've trained the same, so I would say this safely that we take our power from the ground for our punches. So the fact that we're actually able to go into a deeper stance just means we're grounding ourselves harder, so we're able to take more ground power to throw at the end of our fist. Yeah. So basically, for those that may not understand what I'm trying to portray, because I know you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And there's no video, which kind of sucks. I'll explain this, right? Imagine you're in a really deep stance of any sport.
Sorry to cut you off. You could put your camera on if you want. There's a way to do that, but it's up to you. You don't have to do that.
I think I'll just I'll explain it because I could use the extra practice on demonstrating. Damn it.
Yeah, leave the imagination to the people thinking. You know, don't gotta tease them.
Yeah, so I'll make it generic. So imagine you're in a deep stance of some sort.
Ooh, I'm kidding. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So you could imagine any type of stance. I'm just going to use a forward stance for those that know what that is. So our back leg is going to be our power leg, right? That's where we're going to take our energy from.
Yeah.
Once you're planted and you're ready to throw the punch is not getting the power from the shoulder. Yes, it is coming from that point at one point, but it's not drawing its power from there. So all the way from your foot, from your knee to your hip.
Yes,
So whatever
sir.
side you're punching on, that side is going to roll up the side of the body, going to that shoulder, then it's going to go to the elbow, then to the wrist, then to the flick of the punch. And then all that power from the ground gets put into that one punch. So yes, it's very, I'm not even going to say it's telegraphed because most of the time it's pretty quick still. The fact that you're in a stance and you're very squared off leaves you pretty vulnerable.
Yep.
But the power that you get out of it will be more than your body weight would be.
So cool.
Scientifically, you would be able to hit harder than what is technically possible from like a straight jab or something like that.
Oh, dude, there's a video on that. There's a whole video that talks about that stuff. Have you ever seen it?
Well, which one are you talking about?
It's how to throw a punch. I can actually see if I can search it up right now. How to punch. If I can pull it up on Discord, that'd be pretty cool. But there's an actual video that goes based on like how a punch happens and on how the body rotates and everything. And there's like this whole CGI thing. I'm gonna look it up. CGI.
Okay.
It's like the power of a punch or something. Like, yeah, I think it was like I'm gonna look it up. Give me a second. The power of a punch, because if it's what I'm looking for, let's see. There are videos, but I don't see the one I'm looking for.
The future is won by those who fight.
Nah, it's not happening. It's all good. I could look for it later. But dude, you're right. There's a video that talks about that stuff too, where it goes from the foot to the leg to the hip to the ribs to the shoulder all the way to the arm. And it's just, if you do it in a simultaneous motion, it works. And you know what the weird thing is? You know when something slips. Like, you have to practice a lot to know what's wrong. Like to other people that could be like, dude, that was great. But it's like, you can just feel your tricep just out of place.
I agree. You'll be able to tell where you ruined the inertia of the punch.
Yes.
Like, for example, you could be like, oh, wow, I extended too quickly and then the power didn't reach my hand yet. It ended in my shoulder or it ended in my elbow, but it didn't reach the end of my punch. So if you find the timing perfectly, it should almost feel like, well, I wouldn't even say you would snap it out, because then maybe you still released it by like a half a second too early because it might have ended in your wrist.
Yep.
But you should be able to throw the punch. It feels like nothing, like no energy was expelled. Go ahead. Yeah, but the energy that was actually exhumed or executed out of your body was so much that it's like it's just crazy what the body could do when you know how to control it like that.
I found the video I was looking for. I'm going to share it up right now. So I'm going to pull it up. Yeah, it's on Discord right now. You should be able to pull it on your phone by viewing it through, like if you go to our conversation. You see it? You see it? Okay, here we go. You should be able to hear it. All right, so let me full screen this real quick. So everybody's going to be, if anybody here in video on Discord, you do see the video, but unfortunately you will, if anybody's on YouTube, you will hear it or see it. And if anybody's on the podcast on Spotify, you're only going to hear it.
The secret of boxing is known as kinetic linking. A perfect flow of energy through the entire body.
So this is what you were talking about.
Motion capture shows
Look at it, from the
that
feet
the punch starts not in the fist,
to the knee,
but the feet. The rear foot drives backwards into the ground.
Look at that. Look at all
like
that.
Like links in a chain, the energy travels up the leg, twists through the hips, and into the large muscles of the back,
dude, this is exactly what you were saying. Look at this.
Cracking of a whip. The energy multiplies through leverage
Javon is
as
him.
It flows through the body. It travels.
That's exactly what I was envisioning in my head too. I was picturing that type of like.
And yes, size does matter.
Example, like
the puncher.
Like seeing the energy flow through the body. Yep, and then the guy goes flying.
Look at that. That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Awesome.
Like, that's just, it shows like how powerful a punch is. A lot of people just throw punches and their hands take them with wherever it's going. I've seen so many windmills in my day, dude. And I look at those videos and I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Oh, like, you ever see people fight in real life and you're like, you know what you could have done? Like, Not
Yeah,
it.
no, I've seen it, and honestly, that's why I feel like, and I know we're talking about like just a punch a lot, but I feel like core strength is more than necessary
Yeah.
when it comes to all of this stuff, because like really think about it, right?
Yep.
There's a lot of people, and I'm going like, let's just take an example. Let's talk about when like karate first made it to the United States, right?
Okay.
Like 70s and stuff. Now, there's this, it's obviously visual, but it's also scientific. So you can see how people were built back then and how people are built now, right?
Oh, like muscular and stuff. Everybody beefy back then.
Yeah. So like, yeah, those people that are muscular, but we can make that same muscle very easily now, right? Because we have supplements, we have machines, we have all these other ways to make it easier,
I feel
right?
like I know where you're going with this. Keep going. I'm gonna see if I can.
So
keep
it's like,
going.
okay, you look at the guy back then and compare him to like a normal person now. It's like, oh wow, like back then that used to be a person who was extremely jacked. He's ripped. He's super muscular. And you see a person like that now, and it's like, oh wow, he's just
skinny.
He exercises.
Oh, or he exercises.
Yeah, he's skinny. Okay. He exercises, but he's not like toned. He's not like, his veins aren't popping out. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, It's not super exaggerated. Like, oh my God, he works out.
Are you saying this is before karate came or after?
No, this is like when karate came.
Okay.
So like, I'm just saying like martial artists, they did look muscular, but it wasn't, I mean, unless we're talking like Bruce Lee, who looked like,
well, there's a lot.
No fat.
Well, Bruce Lee did things differently. I mean, he did things safer. Like, he electrocuted himself, but it was shock therapy, and he did that in a way to help him. And it shows what natural remedies can do. Unfortunately, we have these big gym rat people in the martial arts world now. Not disrespecting them to a degree. It's just sometimes I feel like those guys are steroided up, and it's like, you don't need that for karate. You need technique. You don't need power. The built will come over time. You know what I mean? I've seen skinny, scrawny dudes take out beefy, big guys, and I just sit there with my hands up going, wow, I don't even want that.
Exactly. Well, that's what I was kind of trying to get at is core strength as a whole, right? Because you can have the skinniest arms in the world. Obviously, they got to be able to handle the power you're pushing out, right?
Yep.
But that comes from natural. But let's just say you have the strongest arms in the world, the most toned, and you just do arms. Let's just say hypothetically, you just work out your arms. You don't do no chest. You don't do abs. You don't do back.
You just do your arms.
Right?
You look like that guy. You look like SpongeBob in that episode.
Let's just say, yeah, you look like SpongeBob. You're just all arms, nothing else, right? Now try to throw a punch, right?
Oh,
your punch will only be as strong as your arm is.
That's got to be tiring.
No matter one, tiring, fatiguing. It'll hurt your body actually, because it's gonna. What happens is when you throw a punch, like the way for those that watched the little video, that type of scenario where he's doing a cross and he's twisting his body, your body's gonna tell you the weakest link in your own body. So you throw that punch and you get the impact. Yeah, your arms are strong, your wrist is going to handle it, your elbow, your shoulder might, but guess what? Your back, you might, like, your back muscle might, get pulled, or your ab might get pulled, or your chest might get ripped, or something like that, right?
Yeah.
That's why I feel like the main source of everything should always be your core, because without your core, it's like a tree, right? If you don't have a strong trunk, you're not going to have good branches.
Yeah,
your branches can only grow as big as your trunk grows larger. That's why you don't see a skinny, scrawny tree with 1,000 branches on it without it falling over. Right?
Yeah, right.
You need to have a strong core, and that would go into your punch as well, because a lot of it, like the video said, it starts from the legs, which is an appendage, yes, because that's where your everything's traveling to. But once it comes to your core has to do a lot of transfer, because you have everything in your core. You got your organs, you got your bones. The majority of everything is in your core. You got the twisting motion, which is going to help snap your arm, which is, once again, your core muscles working.
Yeah, my mom was talking about this today, actually. All in the hip.
Yeah, Yeah, so imagine if you don't have hip muscles. Period. Like, I know that's an extreme, but let's just say that's the only muscles that are weak on you. Everything else is built, and now you say, "Oh, well, turn with the hip." Oh, wow, you're gonna probably pull your hip. You're gonna hurt your hip doing a punch.
Yeah.
So start with the core, work your way outwards. Make sure you have a strong core, and then honestly, everything else will kind of follow suit as well.
I think what I've learned, I mean, I was doing Chilsun Samro upstairs, and my my mom like was watching me, and she's just like correcting me, and I just felt so stiff. It's so weird, not like like for example, I learn forms, right, and I feel like to all the martial arts community, I'll say this. If you're practicing something and you're really good at it, that's fine. But when you practice something new, for some reason, that just, you become a white belt right there on the spot. Like everything becomes stiff and tense. And my mom was like, hey, you're dropping your hips wrong. I'm like, what? And I became like a white belt for a second. And then I got all stiff and I don't know what it was. And then it hit me. What if it's just all mental? What if it's all in the mind? Like it's just all in your head. Like it's not that, it's not that I don't know this. It's just, I'm just doing a different motion. That's all. Through the martial arts, you know? Like I get, like, this is when I go back to like learning something and getting overwhelmed by it. To you, when you're learning something and it's completely brand new information to you, and it's something that, for example, when she told me to practice dipping my hips downward, it was so new and it's such a new technique to me that I didn't really know how to do it because I've been like dropping in a horse stance all differently for like years. So then she showed me a different way today. It was killing me. And that's weird. Like something so simple that you've been doing for years, you can't like fix that quickly. And it's something that's so easy as just tilting your hip down. I don't know if you've ever been to that position. I don't, because like for me, it's the hip game for me. All my life, my instructors are like, move your hips, move your hips, move your hips, or relax, relax, relax. And I finally did it, but it took me years, dude. The one thing, so have you had a situation where you had an instructor just constantly, all the instructors say that one thing and you're like, mother of God, and then you finally get it?
Yeah, I'm sure there was a few things about that actually, yeah. But it took a long time to train myself because as much as someone barks an order at you, and even readjust you, I mean, how many times can they do it before you have to do it yourself, right? So you have to make yourself do the fix.
Yeah.
The good thing about it is that they point it out because you can't see it. But when it does click and you actually get it,
it does click. It does click.
It's mind blowing.
I can't explain it when it happens.
You would feel it, and it's like, oh, wow, that was it. Why didn't I feel that before?
Yeah, sometimes it takes like a little bit of wording. Like with Seishan, someone was like, think of it like a bow and arrow or a shotgun. Like as soon as you pull back the bow, as soon as like he actually Master Hein described it to me as like, think of it like a bow and arrow, Massey. You're gonna take the bow or you're gonna take the arrow, you're gonna put it in the thing, you're gonna put it all the way back. Once you hear that click, pull the trigger. So I watched how he did it. He extended his arms, relaxed. You saw a stop. It was so, it was so subtle, but you knew you saw the stop. And then, boom, he just shoots it out. Like he just shoots, you know? And I tried it, so I'm like, all right, let me try that. All right, I can do that. So here I am, I cock back, and then, boom, I did it too. Oh, God, that's pretty loud. Sorry if that was loud.
I mean, at least you didn't blow my eardrum, so.
Well, I had to fix that. I just turned down the volume because when I went boom, it's just all red. My audio was so red and it screamed at me like that was loud. So sorry, viewers, if you were listening to that. My fault. I'll find it. I'll just see the big audio bar that's shooting through the ceiling in the editing software. Oh, also, by the way, quick little promo. Go check out our cups. Let's talk. It's in the description below, and if you guys aren't on YouTube, I suggest you head there or go to my Instagram and go to the Insta bio. From there, you can just click on the merch, and you'll be taken over to the Let's Talk podcast mug, It is a purple and yellow one. The new and improved logo will be on the cup soon. So be on the lookout for it this weekend. It's probably already there. So just be on the lookout for that. 20% off by entering Karate for Life. 20% off by entering Karate, number 4, by the way. KRATE 4, number 4, LIFE. Karate for Life. So that's my little promo there.
Awesome. Cool. Because I know people have been asking about that for a while.
They really have been? Really?
Yeah. I'm
was
sure.
Just Kayla?
No, there was many. I know that it seemed to be a very popular question as much as anything else. I'm very surprised that people want coffee mugs.
Does Master Wookie want one too?
I can ask. I'm not sure if he actually watched the videos yet.
I was talking.
I'm sure if they were.
I was talking to him actually. He said he was very proud of us. He said, I'm so proud of you guys. You're doing something awesome with karate, spreading the good news. And I told him, hey, we should interview you. And he's like, no, I'm not a tech guy.
Well, it's as easy as a phone call as everyone that's listening right now. I look like I'm on my phone in my house right now. So
yeah, I think it could be as easy as that. Truth be told, Javon, next time you come down here, we could just pop Discord open if we wanted people involved if they can't make it. I think Discord. I know CCSU has one too, right? You guys have a Discord? I don't know if you know about that.
I could double check. I have to just make a few phone calls.
Hey, is there any questions that you wanted to ask me on my end? I still have some questions that I wanted to talk about too.
I actually had one specific question, and I think it might have been already answered in a past episode, but I wanted to hear. It'll probably be a different take or answer regardless, but I've had it asked of me to ask you.
Okay.
So I want to ask this.
Is it from a grapevine?
It's through the grapevine. It's from people you've known.
Okay.
But, so this is the question. Because we did have our ADHD episode, correct? So, and like I said, you might have answered this, but since you have it, right? Because that was already said. How do you keep so focused when you're training? Because you have a focus that looks like it's unbreakable, and you get so lost in your performances, and even if you're sparring, you're all there and you don't get distracted. And I've had, issues in the past where, and I'm sure everyone has, where you're teaching someone and they might have it, but it's hard for them to keep focused, and it's harder to train them that way because they just, they're just not listening, or they get distracted easily. So how do you, as a martial artist that is training, so from a personal standpoint, how do you stay focused? What do you do?
So with the ADHD, I will say that it does heavily help, because the thing is, it enhances emotions. It enhances the way you feel ultimately. So I like to also think of martial arts when doing like whatever I'm doing in the ring as a performance. I am entertaining these people. I am entertaining the judge. I am this isn't like just playtime. This is go time. So what ultimately helps me is, I will say real quick, with the ADHD heavily helping my emotions, I like to think that when I'm performing, I'd like to put emotion in my anything I do. A lot of times people, I think, get lost and start doing the form the way they intended on, and then as time goes on in the form or sparring or weapons, whatever that may be, they end up just kind of going into this default autopilot mode, and then they just kind of go tunnel vision, blackout, and then they just kind of forget where they are, or they forget, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So you start off strong. My best advice is that every single move that you're about to do and beforehand, think about what you're about to do and execute it and commit with that same intent. And know that you're doing a form as if you're being attacked. And at the same time, you want to put on a show for these people. So, again, I think I have answered this before now that I think about it. But what keeps me so focused is, one, it's my emotion. When I do the move, dude, listen, I throw my knee like I smashed your face in. I stomp my kick down like I broke your ankle. I block like I got that hook punch away from my face. And you want to understand what that form is. What is that form? How do you represent it? However way you were traditionally taught the tempo or whatever, express it. Express it. Nobody has emotion these days. People just kind of throw out punches and they just kind of have this like poker face. If you have emotion with what you do, you will feel it. And I say this passionately. I'm not yelling. And I'm sorry if I'm answering this really long. What'd you say? You cut out.
Oh, I said no. Please continue.
Oh, sorry. But to everybody listening, you need emotion in what you do. You can look serious. That's emotion. Don't look blank stared like you just like are bored. That's not how you do it. Go in with intent, emotion. If you're gonna punch, throw that punch and feel that punch. Feel it execute, feel it stop, feel your body relax, look over, embrace what's coming onto the next side, and then execute. Give yourself the moment to express yourself, because a lot of people don't go for themselves. They go there, oh, I want to build my confidence. And then when you're on the floor, everybody poops their pants. Because then there's like, what if I look bad? What if I look this? No, express yourself. Imagine like you were with your girl or whoever it may be, and you are this goofy boy or girl. You're just goofy around them. That's expressing. I don't care who's watching. I'm gonna be myself. That's how it is on the floor. This is something that I love doing. And I'm gonna express it with full emotion. So ultimately, what keeps me driven every time I do something karate related, bro, even if it's just to do one punch, it's emotion. And the best, and to get that emotion, I can tell you how to get it. You want to, and this is for everybody. I want you to do this with everybody that's listening right now, if you're free, if you're able to. I want you to just kind of look at your hand, and I want you to close it. Make a fist. Make sure your thumb is wrapped around your fingers, by the way. If it's in your fingers, congratulations, you're about to break your hand. So wrap your fingers, wrap your thumb around your fingers. Now make it nice and tight. I want you to feel your hand closing and getting tighter and tighter and tighter, and squeeze it as hard as you possibly can. Now let go. Now go like halfway. Now I want you to pull back your hand all the way to your side. All the way to your side. Your fingers up to the sky in a chamber with your pinky touching the ribs. And I just want you to think of a spot and aim at that spot in front of you. Look at that spot specifically. And I want you to think the first two knuckles, your finger, or your pointer finger and your index finger. Imagine it shooting straight out like a pistol bullet. And it's just right on the target. And when I say go, I just want you to shoot it out. And I just want you to imagine it. Just shoot it out and throw your hand out and feel the hand punch out. Feel it hit and breathe as the second you fully extend. Ready? Go. I don't know if you felt it. I don't know if people actually did it. I don't know if you did it, Javon.
I did it.
You did? I don't know if you felt anything different. I don't know. Everybody has their own feel on a punch.
I did. There was a little bit more of a force coming from it.
And you also feel, for me, I just did it too. I get an oofa dopamine. I can't explain it, but I get a little, oh, that felt great.
It feels tingly.
Yes, that's it, dude. That's the thing. That's what you feel. And when you're on the floor, you gotta feel that way. Like, you wanna feel like you got this person. You wanna feel like you know what you're doing. You wanna feel the punch just shoot out. Feel what your body is doing. I don't know, man. I hope that answers your question, but...
I think it definitely gave me a new perspective.
Okay, good.
At the very least. So it definitely helped.
I think emotion is so important. Kicking and screaming your ass off is great, but at that point, it's like it sounds like you're constipated on the toilet sometimes. Not you, Javon. There's just some key ups that I listen to. Like there was just one back in Rhode Island. I'm gonna put the microphone back a little bit. He was like, I was like, oh my God. It was just like very loud. So I was like, listen, Kaka, you're a bird. We get it, man. I don't know. I you know the key ups are supposed to make you stronger, right?
Correct. Yes.
20%, I think.
Yes. I also heard that there might be this might be possible. This is something I read, so I don't know how valid the source is, but depending on how you exhale will tighten up certain areas of your body. So not even just the key up, but just different things. Like, so for example, you're doing a form and you hear some people go like, right? With like they're a snake, right?
Yeah.
And then there's other people where on certain moves you hear them just go like from the gut, right?
Oh, the breathing techniques.
And then you might get like, yes, different breathing techniques. I heard that when you do the one that sounds like a snake, right? That's right. In doing the tightening and the slow release of the right,
yep.
And you do it in a fast motion, that actually tightens up your upper body to make your punches and your hand technique stronger.
Oh.
And then if you're to throw a lower body technique like a kick, you're supposed to do the fast exhale with the stomach, because majority of the stuff requires either like a torso twist or like a tightening of the core.
Yeah, some people will say it's
right, for a kick to get the kick up higher. So I've been trying to do that with my forms. So like all the upper body stuff, I do the snake one, and then when I do the kicks, I just do the deep exhale. And so far, it's actually been helping because it's making me less fatigued overall, because you're just releasing the energy in the correct way in separate parts of your body rather than as a whole.
You know that when it comes to like forms, it's like, even with the key ups, I know it's like affects everybody differently. Just because when I watch people do forms, there's some black belts that, and I'm not disrespecting black belts. I think everybody's growing in all different shapes and sizes and still learning their body, but it's just, even then, at a certain age, you're not, I don't mean to be rude, but I just don't feel like you're good yet if you can't feel your own body out in doing forms. Like, if you're still rigidy and still, like, bumpy, like, I think you're still okay. It depends on what you're doing. Like, if you're doing, like if you're doing forms and, like, your low blocks are still, like, half par and you're a black belt, it's like there's something going on with you body-wise. You got to learn how to do your low blocks physically for yourself. You know what I mean? Because it's just like the way I cross my arms might be different for you because your arms are bigger than mine.
It is a totally different thing. Yeah, it feels different.
That's why I'm like, when I watch my instructors go and do the forms, like I go to their default position, but then I go into my universal position of like, all right, now how does this feel for me? Like Chosun Samro, when I was doing it with my mom on the form, and we did this part where we open our arms out, we look to the side, and then we close with our hands. She did it in a way that I thought of. Funny enough, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. I was watching my mom do it, and she took a deep. You guys go really slow. You guys open your arms, and then you step back, and then you close your hands slowly. She takes a deep breath in, and she shoots back, closing her hands. I'm like, whoa. And then like, you know how like you throw your hands out where you go from chest when you extend the next move in Chosun Samro?
Yes.
Yeah, so she did that, but she winded it up. What did she do? She arms out, and then she brought her hands back super fast, and she went boom, and then she brought her hands slowly together. She brought her hand up, and she went 1, 2. I was like, whoa. It almost looked like it was meant to be like that. And she's like, that's because I did it in a way that works for me. And I'm like, holy crap. Literally what I've been thinking about for the last few months. It's all about the person, you know, like it's going to be executed differently.
That is the fact that because it works for you, no one else can copy that style.
Right.
Because that's yours.
That's why I love art. Like, that's another thing. I was thinking about what you were saying about, like, the other podcast we were talking about, like, freaking, should you I think I asked Patrick and Kayla this. Would you let them have their own version of their form, or would you have a traditional way? And I think you said you'd keep it traditional, and I thought I would do that too. I would give them the way I would teach them a basic way, and then I would be like, now go play. You could turn it into this. Like, I would have a class day maybe where it's like, we can perform like this. You could do your low block like this, or you can do your hammer fist like this. But the application has to be there. Like, we still have to see the frame. We still have to see the universal techniques that we taught you, but we still want to see how you execute it. Slow, fast,
right.
Mix of whatever. You can look and then go, or just do it without looking. Who cares? But the application, as long as the base application is still there, I think that's fine.
And I agree with that as well, because that's also what gives everyone their individual art form, because we want to see something different. As much as we want to see the same thing and we could all do it the exact same way, we do want to see something new within the same walls and the same moves that we've been doing forever.
Yeah, and that's the beautiful part of it, is because, and I think that's how we can change martial arts. I think not many people do it. I think there should be a training day for default way of doing the forms, and then we should have an open class where everybody does the form in like by count. Like, the count is still there, but check this out. They do it differently. Like, you know how, like, your guys' Nyan-Chi Chodan is so different from my Nyan-Chi Chodan. You guys go to the elbow drop and then low block, and then you punch. But for me, it's elbow, then drop, then low block punch. So it's like, you guys, I can default to your guys' thing, and then when it's like, all right, let's go by open training purposes, but we're gonna go by the Chizik way of tempo. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, like, it's just different renditions.
Yes, exactly. Like, everybody's gonna have their own flavor, but the count is still gonna be there, so you can kind of keep an eye on people. But then you get a chance to, like, really see the creative mindset that people have. And that's what's going to be that's like, I'm hoping that when I open up a school someday, or I mean, like, hell, I mean, like, maybe if you want to open up a school together, it's like, the point being is that I would love to see my students be so creative and so artistic, you know? Oh,
I agree.
That goes into the other question that worked out. What is, what's your setup for a school, man? Like, what's the vibe you want to bring for your school? You have you have no limit. Okay, let's be realistic. You have some limit. Like, you have $50,000 in your hand, and you got a nice spot. What would you do with it? Like, for the school,
well,
like, what kind of vibe you bringing?
I want it to be, personally, me, I want it to be a school where there's opportunities. Now,
interesting.
That's a very generic answer, but the reason why I'm saying that is this. A lot of different sports have some type of extreme end goal that's always there, right? So there's schools where, you know, it might just be, hey, everything's in-house, we do this for our own benefit, and that's it. But then there's other schools where you're training for something, yep, a higher meaning, a higher purpose than you, right?
Yep.
I would like the school to have as many of those opportunities as possible. And, you know, as I said, multiple, because there's many different directions you can go.
Right.
So, depending on the arts too. But let's just say, just karate. karate in general, right?
Yep.
I'll separate jiu-jitsu for it. But let's say karate. You have the self-defense stuff, which is practical, right? Practicality. You got the drilling that you can use for sparring. You got the forms that you can use for these open tournaments, these large open tournaments that are all around the world, which at this point they're making teams for that, you could basically be in the Olympics, right? I mean, the Olympics had karate at one point, or they're trying to, but let's just say that the end goal is, hey, you could start as a white belt, but if you really wanted to, and you really wanted to put your all into it, you can make it to the Olympics.
Yeah, right.
How does that feel? Just the fact that it's possible. You can make a career out of it, type of thing, right?
Yeah, and you promote that to the student right off the bat. Of course they'd be on board for that.
Correct. Does it mean you have to? No. But guess what? You're not going to get capped out. There always is going to be something bigger that you could do, right? Something bigger than you think you could do yourself. And then same with practicality, practical self-defense, in jiu-jitsu and stuff like that. You mix that with some kicking and punching, you could become a UFC fighter. You could make it like a boxing career, how you could be a pro boxer, you could be a pro fighter. And you could be a pro forms person. You could be a pro anything, right? So just to know that there's an endless possibilities. That's all.
And this is like something you would initiate for your school.
Yeah, because there's going to be the base. There's going to be the traditional stuff. There's going to be a structure. But I want the opportunities to be there for the students that want to go all the way. And I feel like if students know that, they're not going to get lazy, because they're going to always realize that maybe I might not make it all the way there, but maybe I could get somewhere.
Now, how about this? I'm going to answer that question. Hold on. Let me answer my question that I would think my, let me write this down because I'm going to forget. I'm going to type in because it had to do with Spotlight. But to answer the question that you answered, I would make it open doors. I would call it open door martial arts. And I already have it trademarked, so don't take it. Whoever's listening to this right now, nobody take it. It's mine. And with that name alone, it's to just basically say, hey, this is your safe space. The doors are open to you. I want to create a place where the place is obviously monitored, but another place of opportunities. Like if it becomes a popular place, I'd have a security guy. I'd hire him, just keep an eye on the place, make sure everything's good. I'd have a janitor. I'd, come on in, checks. I'd have an admin, whatever, check in, almost like a gym, but it would be a place just to come and hang out, like just another,
yep.
Like my day's off. What am I going to do? Oh, I can go to Open Door Martial Arts. Master Massey's got the place open right now. He's not there yet, but the admin or security's there. As long as I show my karate ID and show that I train here, I'm fine. Like that's the whole system. I would have it like a scanner ID. You come with it. Like if you're a student, you get an ID and you get to scan and come in for just come in to train.
And like a gym membership.
Yeah, I would make it, but I would also make it to like where you would have to leave if you stayed for an hour. Like you would scan and it'd be like, okay, your time's up, you gotta go, or you could rescan it. I don't really care, but it would just give people like courtesy.
That's a cool idea.
I don't think it's been done yet, and I think a karate ID would be really cool because that also keeps it also keeps track of you could do that like with a barcode. You could scan it, and then that's how they check in. That's another way of them checking in. And I was also thinking like I would use VR headsets as a way to practice like fighting or like moving around against multiple opponents so they can practice their movement. I would get like a ring space and I would have it set up. I would do workouts where we would do something called meta play, where we would all, depending on, this is just hypothetical with the $50,000 that I have. I would have the VR headset where most of the students would all link up together and we would do martial arts through through different events like challenges and stuff inside the thing. Mm-hmm. I'd have nerd stuff everywhere, man. I'd have just like posters of martial artists like Pikachu in a martial artist outfit. But the most important thing I would have is I would have connection. Like the whole point of the school is for me to be that hero that I never had growing up. And I want to give it to those guys. You know what I mean? Like a big, nice open floor, a projector down for movie night if we wanted to, a nice clean bathroom. Smells good every time you walk in. Doesn't smell like freaking feet. It's just, that's how I grew up with that stuff. I mean, like, as old school and, you know, guilty pleasure as it sounds, it just wasn't it. It just, times have changed, man.
Time to modernize it and make it new, make it up to date.
Yeah, and like I would tech it out so hard. I would just, and the other thing is the spotlight. That's the hard thing when it comes to, like, how hard do you feel? Like, let me rephrase that. How does it feel knowing that when you teach, that the spotlight's going to be off you? I mean, technically, it's not going to be off you. It's still going to be on you, just not in the way you imagined it, I guess. Say, like, you don't get big, whatever. Say, like, nothing happened. Say, like, crap, these tournaments were a waste of my time. Well, not really a waste of time. I got the experience you needed, but you didn't make it. Does that still increase your skill set and love to becoming a teacher? Or does it ultimately say, no, I still want this spotlight. I'm not ready for this yet?
No, I feel like if anything, it helps. It always is going to help because whether you never made it or made it big, right? Doesn't mean that it's impossible, right? Because you can always bounce back, right? Because we're taught to never stay down. But on top of that, to help you better as a teacher, if you couldn't do it, doesn't mean that your student can. It doesn't mean that your experience that you've gained out of it can't help him make it to the point where you wanted to, right?
Yeah,
It's basically, you always want your student to do better than you, regardless, because no one's ever going to be the best forever. The world champions of the world are not always going to be the world champion. There's always going to be a next better person. Sometimes younger, sometimes it doesn't matter, right? You're never going to be the best all the time.
Right.
So you have to accept that even if you never made it, or even if you did make it, you're going to go down eventually at one point. So you should always have the mindset where there's going to be someone better. But for me, I would like my student to be that person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I would rather be like, hey, I'm willing to train my student to be that better person. And in that, I'm transferring everything that I could do for myself into them. And then they could carry on all that work that I did so they don't need to do it as hard, you know?
Yeah,
kind of giving them a boost. So that would be my answer to that.
I think it's going to suck because personally for me, I don't know what I wanted all my life when it came to being well known for what. What am I being well known for? And it's like, I'm only 29. There's a lot of things that I can be known for. One thing, I just want my name to be heard, and then it's just like, oh, I heard about that guy. He's a good guy. That's it. You know, he's a good guy. He's a good martial artist. I don't give a shiz, you know, like, I don't care. Like, at the end of the day, it's like, I don't want to be, this is the scariest thing. For me, it's just like, I want to be remembered for a long time as someone who did this, and he was really good at it. Martial arts, man, like, sometimes I forget where I'm at. I'm not going to lie. I forget that the spotlight is not on me. It's on these kids. And when I teach, people are like, oh, you're so good, da-da-da-da. And then I get stuck in my head, and I'm like, oh, man, I'm good. The spotlight's on me, da-da-da-da. But it's just not, it's not the fact that I'm good. It's what I'm bringing to the table. That's what it is. It's not David's a good martial artist. It's David's good at teaching martial arts. But he's also good at it. But that's the thing. I'm good at it, but I'm also a good teacher. And that's hard to find. It's hard to find somebody that's a good teacher and a good martial artist, because some people are so good at something, but they wouldn't teach it. You know what I mean?
Yes. I agree, because sometimes you also can be good at everything. Sometimes you do have a specialty in one thing, and that's as far as it goes.
Yeah, and it can be a little frustrating sometimes knowing that I can't really get in that mindset of training anymore and being complimented. It kind of sucks sometimes. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be real. I'm a human. I'll say this. It wouldn't be so bad to go back into my days of a green belt or a red belt and hear those compliments again. But at the end of the day, it's like, sure, you reigned. I was reigning in that. Now, ultimately, it's all about sacrifice. A hero sacrifices. If you want to make the world a better place, sacrifice your needs and help and start helping some other people, because you don't need to be in the spotlight. It's about their time. And that's how I keep reminding myself.
Well, you want to know what's even better?
What?
To speak on that, what wouldn't be better than training someone and then you'll get the compliments through your student, meaning like, wow, he's really good. I wonder who trained him. Oh yeah, I'm his trainer. He does such a good job. Good for you and good for him. Like, that's just as good.
Yeah, it's like a double.
As getting it yourself.
Thing, yeah. And I'm not trying to come off as arrogant or cocky. It's just, this is my mindset. This is just how it was, and I struggled with it for a while.
No, that's fine. I mean, we're all human. That's being vulnerable. That's actually a good thing to be admitted to stuff like that. So I'm not taking it as arrogance at all. I'm just saying that's just, you know, being open to what you feel and how you are, and that everyone has their own thing that they got to do and go through. So
yeah, I think it's just, my version is just trying to get out of the spotlight. That's the humility I need to. I've been still trying to work on that. I'm way not like how I was years ago, but I definitely allow more people to be in the spotlight way more than I used to, and I'm glad I'm in the position of life I'm in, because it taught me a lot of humility, taught me a lot about growth. It's very good that I'm on this path, because, ultimately, I'll tell you, people that are listening before we close up, I think you should try martial arts, because it's almost like all the sports in one, it's one whole world that you can walk into, and you're going to be like, wow, because there's people that existed in the world that you have no idea existed, and they could have been your neighbor. Like, that's how martial arts works. You meet new people, you see things differently, you become a different person, and it changes you. So I highly encourage you to join martial arts. Just make sure you don't get all like in your head.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have any final thoughts, Javon, before we close this up.
Regarding final thoughts, basically, no matter how do I put this into words? For those that are training martial arts right now, and they feel like they might be like, why am I doing this still? What is this all for? Why should I even try to do this better? Why should I push myself harder? There's always a reason. You might just not have found it yet, but it's never too late to go find it. If you feel like it's too late, like, oh, well, my time has come, I'm past that point, I'm not doing this anymore because I'm maxed out. There's always a reason to find a way to push yourself a little bit more. And if not for yourself, you could do it for someone else. So just a little inspiring, a little pep talk.
Thank you guys so much for watching this podcast, episode 9.
Episode 9.
Episode 9 and episode 10, guess what? We should do something special for episode 10, maybe. We should have something. Maybe we can get more people on board Friday. Maybe.
Yeah, let's definitely talk about that and see what we can do for all the viewers and stuff.
That'd be cool, because then we can actually... Go ahead.
I was going to say, let's do something special for all the viewers that stuck through 10 episodes with us and dealt with us.
Yeah, I know. The constant changing. We appreciate it, guys. This is just, we're starting something new, and it just comes with time. And we're older in our life, and we have a lot of things going on, but we're making time for this. So we hope that you understand. We appreciate you guys for that. So please follow us on social media. Thank you for tuning into episode 9. Go check out those cups for the Let's Talk, and it's 20% off by entering Karate for Life. KRATE number 4 LIFE. 20% off. And thank you so much for watching this podcast. We will see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Take care.